Hello, my name is David Petrelli. One thing I learned over the pandemic that I want to share with you, just so you might be able to have the opportunity to just not stumble upon it like I did, is a new way of diet and lifestyle. There's a book called The Plant Paradox by Dr. Gundry. And I can consider myself his poster child. Everything he mentioned in the book, I can see was very true. A little self-disclosure, before going on this diet and changing my whole lifestyle with this, for the last 25 years, I have suffered from GERD and acid reflux, and I've had to take medication. If I didn't take medication, I had very significant acid reflux, and in the past, I've had erosions and other things. Also, the last 2 years, I have had uncontrolled high blood pressure. One day it would be great, the next day it would spike very high. Tried a lot of different things with my doctor. I had a pretty good diet beforehand, so there wasn't a ton I could change, or so I thought. I had a good diet. And the medication didn't touch it at all. So now I'm not taking any high blood pressure medication. I'm not taking any of the Prevacid or any of the acid blocker medication that I've taken historically. And I'm feeling great. My blood pressure's great. Occasionally I will have some heartburn, but it's, by and large because I've eaten foods that I shouldn't have eaten, kind of thing. The basic premise of his book is certain foods have lectins in them, and certain foods are higher in lectins than others. And if you can avoid those lectin-rich foods, your health is going to be better. Basically, a lectin is a poison that the plant produces so that it's not eaten, and so that it might reproduce and, have baby plants and keep itself going. So it produces the lectin so that whoever ingests it doesn't feel well. And basically, it's a very real thing. So, and he goes over the science, he goes over how it releases stress, and there's a lot of different things to it. One thing I'll also say, this wasn't an issue for me, but almost all the people, including himself, Dr. Gundry, lose a significant amount of weight by going on to this diet. So there's certain foods that, you can eat and there's no problem. They're good for you. A lot of different vegetables. There are some ancient grains that you can make muffins and breads out of, sorghum and millet. Blanched almonds are really good. There's other nuts that are really good. A lot of different products from coconut is good. You got coconut flour, coconut oil. I've got coconut milk. I'll get to the one pot in a second. Over here we've got some foods that aren't so good. The biggest thing in our American diet is wheat flour or wheat products. Unfortunately, it has a lot of lectins and you can't cook it out. Oats are a double whammy. They have they have a lot of lectins in them, but also the way they're harvested traditionally nowadays, the farmers spray the field with Roundup to dry out the grain, and then so you, on top of having lectins, you also have Roundup as a residual. Peanuts and peanut butter are not good. They're actually a legume, and they have high lectins. Certain seeds like sunflower seeds are high in lectins. Corn, unfortunately, is very high in lectins, and corn we have in so many different products, including like high fructose corn syrup. Ketchup again would have tomatoes that have high lectins, but certain foods like tomatoes, zucchini is high lectins. You can cook it out in a one pot, and basically, if you know me at all, personally, I like to eat, and I eat a lot. Basically, the one pot is actually, they're pretty neat. We did not have one before this pandemic, and there's a lot of neat recipes out there. It actually is easier in some ways to make things, but the key is by using a pressure cooker, it's the pressure when you use pressure in cooking, it cooks it faster, but that's because there's a higher temperature involved, and that higher temperature will actually kill off a lot of the lectins. The last thing he really talks about is dairy. Basically, dairy does not have lectins in it, but there's certain enzymes that don't go well with our system. And a while ago, I had switched, even before I got on this diet, I had switched to almond milk, and I'm finding out almond milk isn't the best, kind of thing, because almonds, the outer coating of an almond, the brown, or the brown part, actually contains a lot of lectins. But if you get coconut milk, you're avoiding that altogether. It's not an easy diet to follow in a lot of ways if you don't like to cook like myself, because if you go out to eat a lot of the food that you're going to find in a restaurant has corn or wheat as a base of whatever it is. Pastas have a lot of wheat in them. Also, we need to note that a lot of the meat we eat, if it's corn-fed or grain-fed, it's going to have our meat is going to have lectins in it, and he talks about ways around that. You're probably going to need to get a cookbook because it's going to change how you do everything. His book has a few recipes, but I found it was inadequate. It didn't have enough recipes, so I recommend getting the recipes. You'll notice I printed these. I bought these books on eBay. You buy a PDF of it, and it's a lot cheaper. If you use a PDF reader, you can actually have the books read to you, which I like to do as much as I can. And you can get those for the PDF readers are free on Android. I think you have to pay a little bit on Apple, but you just download the book and onto your device, and you have it read to you. You're obviously going to need the printed copy for the recipe part, but you have that copy and you can print what you want. I hope this has been very helpful information, and best wishes on your future diet.